Vice President Oshibajo to participate at World Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association Forum in United Arab Emirates.
Nigeria expresses strong commitment to global agenda to end COVID-19 pandemic by December 2022.
Federal Inland Revenue Service to include all revenues generated in Nigeria into fiscal accounts and annual statistics.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, we shall discuss marketing Nigeria abroad.
In the last few weeks, President Muhammadu Buhari has been leading a powerful Nigerian delegation to some investment fora to market Nigeria's rich potential for possible economic partnership.
President Buhari was in France, he was also in South Africa, and the latest stopover being Dubai Expo 2020, which ended just 2 days ago.
At the Expo, President Buhari, along with some members of the Federal Executive Council and state governors, participated in Trade and Investment Forum, where they showcased the various endowments yearning to be harnessed in Nigeria.
The Nigerian delegation also held high-level talks with some leaders of Dubai and the United Arab Emirates. Of course, Dubai is one of the Emirates in the UAE, where agreements were signed on critical sectors for sustainable growth and development of their peoples and economies.
President Buhari also assured prospective investors of full support towards ensuring that their investment ideas become a reality.
Now, apart from talks and investment drive, President Buhari had a guided tour of a company that specializes in the manufacture of military hardware. And, of course, the purpose was for possible partnership with the Nigerian military.
Our reports indicate that the unveiling of Nigeria's investment opportunities by President Buhari at the Global Exposition in Dubai is already paying off, with the Polish community expressing commitment to invest in the nation's economy.
So, we'll still ask the question, what are the many takeaways from the Dubai Expo 2020, and which areas are we expecting investors to latch onto as a result of the marketing by President Buhari and other government officials? Now, which agreements were signed during the 5-day expo, and how soon do we expect the investments to start flowing into the country? And how will these, of course, engagements facilitate economic development of our country? These are some of the talking points as today we'll discuss President Buhari's efforts at marketing Nigeria abroad. It's Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the Nigerian Television Authority. We thank you for tuning in. I'm Kingsley Osadolo.
And I'm Kieran Umayo, also joining Kingsley to welcome you to the show today. We're broadcasting live on the network service of the NT, and as usual, we are going to bring you our complimentary segments in the course of the program. But first, let's take the news highlights with Ifeoma Ojenta. Good morning, Ifeoma.
Good morning, Kieran. Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria. And here is the morning news. President Muhammadu Buhari sends warm felicitation to President Adama Barrow of the Gambia over his re-election for a second term of 5 years. The president congratulates the Independent Electoral Commission for dutifully handling the electoral process and commended the Gambians for their high sense of civility, maturity and patriotism. President Buhari assures President Barrow and all Gambians of Nigeria's commitment and partnership as they collectively work towards making the country better and stronger for posterity. Vice President Yemi Oshibajo is in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, to participate at the World Liquefied Petroleum Gas Association Forum, where he will be delivering the keynote address.
Events such as this, where you have, people around the world, over 72 countries, the industry experts, the stakeholders, public sector, dealing with the issue of liquefied petroleum gas. It creates an opportunity, for us to also interact on a global level to ramp up, productivity.
Despite ongoing reforms aimed at expanding the nation's tax net for better revenue generation, the Federal Inland Revenue Service is also considering the inclusion of all revenues generated on behalf of federal, state and local governments in the fiscal accounts and annual statistics. This was disclosed by management of the Revenue Service at a National Tax Symposium in Abuja. The event has the theme Taxation and Challenges of External Shocks, Lessons and Policy Options for Nigeria.
Stories abound about how businesses relocate to other West African countries using the ECOWAS treaties and all that to come back into Nigeria. But guess what we lose?
I'm glad to note that the FIRS non-oil tax collections for 2020 and the collections so far in 2021 is higher than the tax from oil.
It's a new dawn on the war against illicit drug trafficking in Nigeria as the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, launched a new national master plan on drug control.
Of the NDCMP, which rests on 4 strategic pillars of supply reduction, drug demand reduction, access to controlled medicines for medical and scientific purposes, governance and coordinations, addresses the drug issues from a human rights and gender perspective.
Nigeria has expressed strong commitments to the global agenda to end the COVID-19 pandemic by December 2022. President of the Senate, Ahmed Lawan, at the opening of a national COVID-19 summit to review Nigeria's response to the pandemic, said the legislature will make budgetary provisions to fight the pandemic and implement recommendations from the summit.
There is need for openness and frankness. Where we've done well, applaud us. Where we have not been able to meet up to the expectations of our people, remind us.
But our work here is not yet done. The United States continues to work with Nigerian stakeholders to prevent, detect, and respond to COVID-19.
Whatever is necessary will be provided for Nigeria to continue to fight for the pandemic and beyond it.
Meanwhile, 167 new cases of COVID-19 have been confirmed in the last 24 hours in the country. In the latest figures released by the NCDC, Lagos State has the highest number of new infections with 113, followed by FCT with 22. Plateau has 16, Kano 4, Abia, Kaduna and Rivers States have 3, Bauchi 2 and Delta has 1 new infection. At the moment, Nigeria has 214,789 confirmed cases of COVID-19. 207,478 of the patients were treated and discharged, while 2,980 died of the virus. Federal government has reacted to Britain's decision to put Nigeria on its red alert list over COVID-19, describing the decision as discriminatory. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed said this at a media briefing in Abuja.
The decision by the British government to put Nigeria on the red list just because of less than 2,000 cases of Omicron, which, by the way, did not originate in Nigeria, is unjust, unfair.
The current advocacy on technology-driven justice sector is gathering more steam in the country as the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, inaugurates the nation's first virtual courtroom for correctional centers located at the Kuje Medium Correctional Center, Abuja.
It's an enactment and consolidation of the spirit of Administration of Criminal Justice Act targeted at speedy determination of cases by way of eliminating delays and displacement of denial of justice.
It means we can dispense with cases in a jiffy.
And that's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Kingsley and Kirian after this break.
Now, let's turn business. Nigeria's total trade stands at 13,284 trillion naira in the third quarter of 2021. Let's now join Kunle Adeye for more details on business news.
Data released by the Statistician General of the Federation, Simon Harris, says total export trade value was 5.10 trillion naira and import trade value was 8.153 trillion naira in the third quarter, indicating a negative trade balance of 3.023 billion naira. The high import was majorly due to increase in import of premium motor spirit, gas, oil, and imported motorcycles and tricycles.
Statistics for quarter 3 of 2021 stood at 13.3 trillion naira, with the export component of feed as 5,130.30 billion naira, while imports was 8,153.79 billion. So from common economics, when imports exceed exports, you are recording a negative trade balance.
In terms of exports, Nigerian export trade was mainly dominated by crude oil, which amounted to 4.026 trillion naira of total exports in the third quarter. This was followed by natural gas, floating or submersible drilling platforms, and urea. Imports were mainly motor spirit, wheat, gas, oil, and used vehicles. And to the details of Monday's tradings on the floor of the exchange. With business news, I'm Kunle Adeye.
Thank you very much, Kunle Adeye, for the business package, and good morning, Nigeria. Up next for us is Newspaper Review.
And here we have Bayo Tayebi, our newspaper reviewer, with us in the studio. Bayo,
thank you, Kire. Good morning. Good morning, Kingsley. Good morning, Nigeria.
Bayo, good to see you. Okay, well, we have three papers this morning. Let's begin with the Daily Sun, which we haven't had for quite some time. The Daily Sun newspaper has us on its front page, Omicron, that's the kicker. Federal government rejects UK's travel ban, describes it as discriminatory and unacceptable. So right after that says, no going back, UK. Details, you have that on page 6. Malami launches virtual court sitting at Kuje Correctional Center, says it won't contravene fair hearing. Fuel subsidy, that's the kicker again. Labour begins mobilization for strike. That's fuel subsidy removal. Labour begins mobilization for strike. That's the second list story on the front page there. And then you also have this, Niger, that's the Niger state. Tension in community as bandits insist on 55 million naira ransom for abducted 55 residents. Details on page 4. Senate President slams health ministers and PAM secretaries and others for not attending summit on COVID-19. And vaccines to cover 70% of population available as vaccines for COVID-19, and this is attributed to the SGF. Kirian.
All right, now let's take Al Jazeera. newspaper. And of course, the lead story, Omicron, that's the kicker, as it was in Daily Sun. Controversy rages over travel ban. Nigeria's addition to red list discriminatory. That's according to the federal government. Of course, it has just one rider there, CSOs, others, kick. CBN funding to creative industry hits 5 billion naira, according to a Mayfield, the CBN governor. The story is on page 25. Cultism storming schools in Nigeria. That's also on the front page of Al Jazeera. Of course, you can see there it's on page 3. Now, 2023 presidency. Court fixes February 21 on articles eligibility. That's on page 30. There are other stories at the bottom of the Al Jazeera newspaper. Blackout hits Abuja environs as AEDC workers shut down facilities. On page 26. APC governors in fierce battle over Tinubu's ambition. On page 30. 3 Nigeria returnees test positive for Omicron in India. That's on page 11. EFCC, ICPC, CCB recover 900 billion naira looted assets in 20 years. That's according to report. The story is on page 10 of Al Jazeera.
Well, let's also take a look at the stories on the front page of the leadership. This one immediately below the name flag says Power Minister and NEC. NEC stands for the Electricity Regulatory Commission, intervene as AEDC workers shelve strike. AEDC stands for Abuja Electricity Distribution Company. The report here is that they have shelved their strike. Now, controversy trails 42 billion naira National Assembly complex renovation contract. You have a number of riders to that headline. Contractor has no record of previous jobs. Official address untraceable. And original builders bid 27 billion naira, but was, well, they say bid, is that a noun or is it a verb? I'm not sure now. All right, so original builders bid 27 billion naira, but were overlooked. Now, reps deny underhand dealing in contract award. Award of contract followed due process. That's according to the Bureau of Public Procurement. No contract has been awarded, says FCDA. FEC, that's the Federal Executive Council, to decide on project tomorrow. Once again, controversy trails for the 2 billion naira National Assembly complex renovation contract. That's the lead for the leadership. Again, bandits kidnapped 36 in Kaduna community. AMCON to publish debtors list in January. Sylvester Oromone, family demands coroner's inquest. Aung San Suu Kyi, sentenced to 2 years in jail. And Omicron, UK travel ban on Nigeria, unjust and discriminatory. That's again according to the federal government. Kano crisis, APC distances served from parallel Congress. Bayo.
Thank you, Kis. Let's start with the Omicron. Canadian Transport Minister Omar Al-Gabar has announced the travel into Canada ban to 10 African countries, including Nigeria. However, he says Canadians and those with permanent resident status who have been to the 10 African countries, even if they are vaccinated, must be tested before entering Canada. In the United Kingdom, the Health Secretary has announced to Parliament that Nigeria will be added to its red quarantine list. Sajid Javid, the Health Secretary, announced to Parliament that Omicron is spreading in the United Kingdom with 336 cases. England has 261, Scotland has 71, Wales has 4, there's none yet in Northern Ireland. This, he said, include cases with no links at all to international travel. That is to say, there's already community transmission of Omicron in the United Kingdom. He says 21 cases are linked to travel from Nigeria. Nigeria has link with South Africa, and his argument is that because Johannesburg is a popular travel destination to Nigerians, Nigerians were placed on the list ban. According to him, with effect from 4 a.m. of yesterday, UK has now included Nigeria on the red list. Anyone not citizen of UK or resident will be required, will be refused entry, and others will have to be isolated in government facilities for 10 days and will have to take 2 PCR tests. Residents in the UK says that 1 PCR test cost about £2,000 sterling. There's been a reaction to this knee-jerk reaction by the United Kingdom. Nigeria's High Commissioner to United Kingdom, Sarafa Ishola, has echoed the Secretary General of United Nations of the UN in describing Nigeria's lesson as travel apartheid. This is because Omicron is not endemic in Nigeria. So far, 3 cases have been confirmed by the NCDC and are all related to travel from South Africa. By data, Omicron is endemic in the United Kingdom than it is in Nigeria. UK has 366 cases, with Nigeria, 21 of them linked to Nigeria. Nigeria has 3 registered cases. In other reactions, the Honorable Minister of Information and Culture, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, has expressed Nigeria's outrage and says United Kingdom listing of Nigeria is not based on science and common sense. He says scientific data on Omicron so far indicate that it may not be as deadly as even the Delta variant, which was found in the United Kingdom. The minister questioned the discriminatory red list, which allows citizens and residents entry but bans non-residents who are coming from the same Nigerian country. He decried the stand of non-residents as punitive and discriminatory. The Secretary General of the United Nations says that the travel ban, which he described as travel apartheid, is not helping matters. He says the world should know that no one is safe until everyone is safe. Another voice that has been lended to this...
Bayo, just before we'll get into that so that we don't lose enough time, with regard to the travel bans announced by Canada and the UK, which have now been described as travel apartheid, appropriately so by those who have responded that way. What is the science telling us, and what is further evidence with regard to Omicron? Omicron was said to have been isolated at least a week in the Netherlands before the South African scientists made the announcement. Has the UK government also banned Dutch citizens from entry or exit from the UK? It's a simple question. The Netherlands is in Europe.
In fact,
has Canada also taken the same step against Dutch citizens from entering Canada or departing Canada? And more significantly, the issue relating to citizenship. Does a disease discriminate against citizens? A disease will say, hey, look, you are a Nigerian, so I will infect you. Oh, you are British, I will not infect you.
That is where I actually fault their decision, you know, because if you say if you're a resident, you can come in, right? Assuming you're a resident and you have Omicron, what happens? What is the difference? But I think their worry really is that you know, they can contain those who are resident. Because when you visit people who go in and out, travel in and out of cities in London, but that's not an excuse really to do a travel ban on Nigeria.
Yes. I think it's a panic reaction, and it's very unnecessary. And in fact, the president of African Development Bank, Akinwumi Adesina, has also lended his voice, and he asks, now that Omicron has been found in many non-African countries and developed countries, why are travelers from those countries not banned?
That's why I give the example of that. The Omicron virus, or variant of the coronavirus, was isolated in the Netherlands, that's Holland, at least a week before the announcement was made by South African scientists. Have they been banned from entering the UK or from entering Canada? And then what is the science also saying? Yes, I mean, the DG of NCDC has already explained that it is useful for countries to increase their surveillance. And then, of course, do a lot of contact tracing and containment. That way, there will be less community transmission of the disease. But the world is still grappling to understand what this whole variant is all about, its characteristics and its behavior. The fact that there are no fatalities yet is no reason why the world should be complacent. But there seems to be the suggestion that it may be less deadly than Delta.
Delta. But I think Nigeria should also take some steps.
Scientists were the first to detect the genome of this new variant that they said had 32 spikes on its horn. But so far, they also have reported that with persons that have been infected with Omicron in South Africa, they have now found from treatments that it is not as virulent as the Delta variant.
As the Delta variant. I think Nigeria should also take a step, further in this connection, so that we can also start banning other countries from coming into Nigeria. Because yes, as you rightly pointed out, Omicron may not be as dangerous as Delta, but somehow I'm not sure that our own scientists have found a way out of it. Eventually, if you don't have a way out of it in terms of, the treatment procedure of that particular variant, then it could cause havoc.
Nigerians are worried. The High Commissioner was indicating that Nigerians resident in the United Kingdom are about 114,000. This is a Yuletide period. Many Nigerians are desirous of wanting to travel. So that is actually causing a lot of trouble. But the Health Secretary had indicated to the Parliament, and the Prime Minister also confirmed that the situation will be reviewed in another 2 weeks.
See, 2 weeks is too close because one, most Nigerians living abroad, especially UK and US, have already bought their tickets for this Yuletide the travels since even January. Some have bought their tickets, so they're going to make their way in here. The most important thing here for us to begin to think about in this direction is to see how we can also, when people come in, you put them somewhere for 10 days, before they can now, mix with the society. Because if this is not done, honestly speaking, after this Yuletide, we're going to have a spike in this Omicron or even the Delta, because people are really coming home this time around from different parts of the world, especially the UK and the United States.
And the WHO and other funders should be interested in financing research into why Africa has so far defied the doomsday prediction with regard to the fatalities arising from coronavirus. They should try to undertake a study or various studies as to what is happening in Africa. And it could be a lesson, it could be a recipe, it could be a remedy for the rest of the world.
Well, it's a matter
because
of
common cold, let's face it. I mean, we have our cycles of common cold during the rainy season, for instance, wet season, and also during the Harmattan, where you have a lot of dust and so on and so forth. And in their own case, they are already in winter, and this is a time when infection rates are pretty high, for respiratory tract infections.
Well, Africa is blessed. Let's look at it that way. The West cannot take it all. There is still God after all said and done. And that this issue of genealogy, Africans have their own gene, and of course, God being on our side, the doom.
Well, for Nigeria, they had predicted that by the time COVID-19 was here, up to March or April, the infection rate will have exceeded 200,000. Up to date, our infection rate is 214,789.
Recall that,
And also, our tropical position, sub-Saharan, is also helping. It's not as cold as what you have in the northern hemisphere. And South Africa, don't forget, they also have their own southern hemisphere winter. That is why sometimes we find that the tendency is that it's more severe there than it is up here. But be that as it may, it is not gainsaying the fact that you use coronavirus to discriminate. What is apartheid? Separate development. That was the obnoxious policy of South Africa. What they are doing now is separate treatment for persons who are suspected to be coming from Omicron countries, and that is not fair.
Yesterday, if you recall, we took on Sylvester Oromoni's case. That's the student, 12-year-old student who died at Darwin College in Lekki Phase 1. The family is demanding a coroner's inquest. Coroner's inquest is usually conducted when there is a report of an unnatural death and foul play is suspected. We do hope that this will be taken up seriously and that all those who have an interest, and society in general should have an interest in this case, to find out who was responsible for the death of that young lad. He wasn't even a teenager yet. I mean, he was to be 12 years.
12,
yes. So
it was 12 years on Saturday.
On Saturday, that's posthumously now. So they should be interested in what happened, the instances of bullying, and then the attempts by the school authorities allegedly to cover up the cause of the injuries that he sustained. They claimed he went to play football, whereas others are saying that he was beaten up by some senior students who tried to initiate him into a cult. So let's find out precisely what happened and let there be justice.
Already, the Commissioner of Police has indicated that 2 of the students whose names have been mentioned have already been investigated. And not only that, the First Lady of Lagos State, Dr. Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, yesterday described the whole episode, the death of the student, as a slap in the face of the educational system, the community, and Lagos State. She did
Just
say so.
lastly on that, there was one Michael, who was the young man's school father at that last session, who was also on the same floor, you know, in the dormitory with him. He said that the beating occurred even sometime last year, you know, and he didn't know that that has continued, you know, this time around. From what the family was talking about, you know, he was
already. Some of the students are beginning to talk. So the facts will
all right, Bayo, let's leave it at that, and hope that you will return again tomorrow.
Thank you
For another session of newspaper review. Thank you for coming. This is Good Morning Nigeria and the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we shall be focusing our attention on the main issue for our conversation today. Well, thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari in the last few weeks has been leading other cabinet members and state governors to market Nigeria abroad with a view to attracting more investment into the country. Ekene Ndulue in this background report captures the latest of such efforts during the Dubai Expo 2021.
The COVID-19 pandemic that emerged 2 years ago has impacted on the world negatively and has continued to do so. With the challenges that came with the pandemic, the global community has continued to explore avenues for economic recoveries through global cooperation. The recently concluded 2020 Dubai Expo was one of such avenues that provided the platform for nations to converge on Dubai and exchange ideas on the way forward. It was also an opportunity for President Buhari to market Nigeria abroad. Connecting Minds, Creating the Future, which is the theme of the expo, aptly captures the level of cooperation that organizers intend to promote. In attendance were 190 countries seeking to create partnerships to build a better future. The Trade and Investment Forum of the expo was indeed another opportunity for President Muhammadu Buhari, accompanied by some members of the Federal Executive Council and state governors, to highlight significant strides in Nigeria's economy in the past 6 years and the numerous opportunities that are bound in Nigeria for investors to explore. Addressing the global community, President Buhari enumerated defense and security, healthcare services, agriculture, artificial intelligence, infrastructure concession, as well as youth and women empowerment as areas of priority.
Nigeria is participating in this epoch-making event in order to explore opportunities that are capable of unlocking the huge potentials that abound in our country, as it makes conscious efforts to be a strategic partner of choice for the global community. It is my pleasure, therefore, to invite all participating countries, organizations, and other private sector operators to take full advantage of opportunities being provided by Expo 2020 by linking up with the Nigerian team to collaborate with us in diverse areas of interest for our mutual benefits.
So far, the expo seems to be paying off with the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Polish Chamber of Commerce and the Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce at the end of the Trade and Investment Forum. Also, engagements between Nigeria's president and top officials of the United Arab Emirates have elicited strong commitments between both countries to enhance cooperation in critical sectors of their economies. What are the takeaways from the 2020 Dubai Expo? What are the expected impacts on Nigeria's economy? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be providing all the answers.
Thank you very much, Ekene Undulwe, for that backgrounder. Of course, just to indicate that we're having a conversation beyond the Dubai Expo 2020 to include other aspects related to the latest efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari, leading cabinet members and some state governors in marketing Nigeria abroad. So we have guests with us in the studios as well as another guest joining us remotely via Zoom. Here in the Abuja studios, let's welcome Otumba Niyi Adebayo. He is the Honorable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. Honorable Minister, pleasure to have you, and Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here with you.
All right. Also here with us in the studios is the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Additional. Femi, delighted to have you on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you. Good morning.
All right, Kieran?
Yes, and let me introduce Mahmoud Ahmadu. Mahmoud Ahmadu is Chairman of Nigeria Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Ahmadu is joining us via Zoom from Dubai. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
All right, gentlemen, once again, our pleasure to have you with us on the program. And as we did say, in recent weeks, the President has been, as it were, in overdrive as the Chief Marketing Officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I mean, he was in Paris, France, for the Peace Forum, and at that forum, we also had the Nigeria International Partnership Forum, and then, of course, he was also in Dubai. Sorry, he was also in Durban. In Durban for the second Intra-African Trade Fair. And now he's just back from Dubai. Honorable Minister of
Riyadh Investment Forum.
Riyadh Investment Forum and several others. So, as I said, the President is in overdrive, as it were, as the Chief Marketing Officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. How do you contextualize all of this, Honorable Minister Adebayo?
Well, one cannot but be impressed with the energy Mr. President has put into what he's doing with regards to marketing Nigeria. As you have rightly pointed out, he's been doing a lot of traveling. In fact, only 2 days ago, when I was preparing to return from Dubai, I was commenting that, well, at least this is over, maybe I can now get some rest, only to be told that it would seem that if we still have one more trip to make this year as part of the President's marketing drive. And I'm like, I think I should see the President's doctor, maybe whatever it is that the President is taking, maybe I will need some of it myself because I'm much younger than Mr. President, and the energy that Mr. President is putting into this work is phenomenal. It's absolutely amazing. But it shows the leadership that he's bringing into this job, and those of us who work for him have no choice but to key into that leadership drive that he's bringing into it. He has recognized the fact that for Nigeria to make progress, we need to trade with international partners. We need to attract investment into Nigeria, and he is leading that drive, and we hope that at the end of the day, already we are beginning to see signs that there is a lot of interest in Nigeria. Whenever we travel with Mr. President and people, we hold bilaterals with foreigners, there's this interest in coming to invest in Nigeria. So it is reaping dividends, and we believe that at the end of the day, it will have been a worthwhile effort on his part.
All right, let's turn to Mahmoud Ahmadu, who is joining us via Zoom from Dubai. You've heard that the President has made very significant moves in the past with a bid to market Nigeria abroad. And of course, even before now, before this year, the President has also made some moves in this direction. Now, of what significance is the Dubai Investment Forum that actually attracted the president to that forum?
Well, thank you very much. As the Honorable Minister just mentioned, it is really a tremendous exercise, but at the end of the day, well, before the end of the 2 days program, we were able to start seeing a lot of interests. Even before now, the Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce, we have put in a large number of investors that are willing to get into Nigeria. But with the president of Nigeria flagging up or unveiling, I can say, the investment forum, that makes more and more people turning up into facing the direction of Nigeria. Because I can tell you clearly, after the president left, I didn't think I have a good 3 hours of sleep up till today. I have been meeting with different investors, different groups that are interested. To my surprise, some of the groups are not even from the Middle East, from Europe, China. Everybody is coming in tons, and we've been having meetings. I could remember the 2 days that the Minister of Power stayed behind. I think I took like a couple of investors to him that we started even discussing. But like I said, it's really, it's the beginning. It's the beginning. This is the point, I think it's a turning point for the Middle East people to now get into Nigeria and invest. They are sitting on a large amount of money. In the Secretary General of the International Investors Council made it clear in his own speech. They have more than trillions of dollars kept to invest into Nigeria, and this is the beginning for them now to get in there. And we in the chamber, we are ready to receive them and bring those foreign direct investors into the country. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. Actually, you've just mentioned the fact that you in the Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce, you are ready, which for me, means that in this forum, that you have a good number of Arabian businessmen at the forum who may be willing to invest in Nigeria. And you have rightly said that, look, they are sitting on a large sum of money. To what extent, has the president's participation at the Dubai Forum attracted, these wealthy Arabians who may be willing to participate in investment in Nigeria?
Okay, like I said, apart from the readiness that all those guys have been, all the Arabian Gulf people have been around, the concern they keep on giving is that the whole idea is all about credibility, assurance on coming into Nigeria, and how safe their business is going to be. So with the president of our country flagging or unveiling this investment forum, like I said earlier, has removed all those fears away from them. The chamber has been talking to them, but yet we still keep on receiving still one and the same concern about safety, credibility of investing there. But with the president unveiling this particular investment forum program that particular day, no single one person has showed any interest of fear or anything. All of them are happy and full showing support to come and into the country.
All right. Thank you very much, Mahmoud Amadou. We're not signing you off just yet, but the Zoom connection is clean, so we'll pause you and return to you in the course of the conversation. But based on some of the points that you have highlighted from the Dubai Expo 2020 taking place in 2021. Let's bring in again the Honorable Minister of MITI. It's raised some issues, so we would like you to further elaborate on those issues before we proceed further.
I think basically what he's trying to say, and this is basically what happens, when people want to invest in a country, they need reassurance. And the presence of Mr. President in Dubai was a reassurance to the potential investors, apart from him declaring open the forum itself. He held various bilateral meetings with individual businesses and businessmen, various sheikhs, and in those meetings, they expressed their interest in investing in Nigeria, and they wanted to know what the situation was in Nigeria, security situation, the economic situation, and Mr. President was able to respond to them and give them the assurance that whatever investments they make in Nigeria will be absolutely safe, and Nigeria is prepared to assist with making sure that whatever investments they make will also yield dividends for them as well. We are not asking people to just come and invest in Nigeria as a charity. No, you are investing to make money, and we will create an enabling environment for you to make sure that the money you invest in Nigeria yields the dividends that you are looking for as well.
Okay, I know there will be many more questions. I mean, my colleague Kirian is itching.
Not for him, actually.
Yeah, but I wanted to bring in Femi additional. That's right.
Special advisor to the president on media and publicity. Yes, the Honourable Minister said it earlier on that the president has a lot of energy, and he exhibited that, in recent times, with all the executive marketing that he has embarked upon. In order to market Nigeria abroad. Now, in terms of information management, issues arising from Nigeria, security, and other issues concerning ease of doing business and what have you, how has these travels embarked upon by the president been deployed to give out correct information concerning what's happening in Nigeria to those that were willing to come and be part of our business circle?
Thank you very much. I think that is at the very foundation of all those travels and investment engagements, to tell the Nigerian story. We find out that in recent times, the Nigerian story has not been correctly told, because you find a lot of revisionists who want to let you know that all that is happening in Nigeria is negative. You'll find a lot of political opponents who are looking at the next election. They are not looking at the well-being of the country. What they are interested in is getting power. And the more you try to damage and denigrate the government in power, the better it is for you. So, when Mr. President travels, it's an opportunity for him to tell the Nigerian story. You'll find that in all these investment trips, there is no place he has not talked about the infrastructure renaissance in Nigeria. I remember that in September at the UN, he met with the Queen of the Netherlands, who said there was a lot they could do with Nigeria in the area of agri, but the problem was getting into the hinterlands because of poor infrastructure. Mr. President asked her, when last did you come to Nigeria? She said 2016. And President told her, please come again, and you will see the difference in terms of rail, in terms of roads, in terms of airports. So we are not there yet, but we have made a lot of progress. So that was a vital opportunity to correct the narrative that some people are trying to paint negatively. Everywhere Mr. President has gone, he has spoken about infrastructure, he has spoken about the right policies that will aid investment, he has spoken about the ease of doing business, he has spoken about the human potentials in Nigeria, about the market of 200 million people. So, all these investment trips are opportunities to tell the Nigerian story properly, as opposed to the jaundiced narrative that some people have been pushing out.
Well, you know, the flip side of what you have said, Mr. Femi Additional, is to also say that in the absence of the president leading the high-powered marketing teams to the various fora and expos, we don't appear to be doing enough in communicating the true Nigerian narrative to the investment community out there. Is that correct?
Well, you use every opportunity that comes your way. And these are opportunities that are being used. What I know is that there is nothing that this government does, there's nothing that the president does that is not communicated. But you see, it's a battle between, so to speak, light and darkness now. It's a tough battle. It's a battle to situate what is happening in Nigeria and between what is happening and those who are determined to denigrate and pull down. But every opportunity is used.
You know that's probably a political angle to it, yes. But it's also a business angle. And I would like the Honorable Minister to also come in here. There are many channels of marketing and communication. Where do you say you are communicating the narrative? I'm just wondering, for instance, from your vantage position at MITI, we have a number of bilateral chambers of commerce, Nigerian American, Nigerian British, and the gentleman who's with us from Dubai Visum is Nigerian Arabian Gulf. How much of the information is going out there from these various chambers to say, look, this is a Nigerian narrative? I mean, you have a number of master plans on your desk, you have a number of investment flyers and so on and so forth. So how much of that do we push out on a consistent, regular basis?
Well, in fact, I'm happy I'm having this opportunity to actually bring this out. The question you asked is very, very fundamental. And I'll let you know, in my ministry, we relate to all these various chambers of commerce. We hold regular meetings with them. And apart from that, there is no week that an ambassador of one country or the other does not come to my office. And we use it as an opportunity to discuss with them the problems because they are marketers for their countries. They come to us to discuss the problems that their companies that have invested in Nigeria have, and we sit down with them and we try to work out solutions to these problems. We let them know where the problems are. We let them know what we're doing to solve these problems. We look for solutions to the new ones that are brought to our attention. Like I always say to them, as the Minister for Industry, Trade and Investment, I act as an ambassador for foreign investors in Nigeria. I act as an ambassador for investors, not only foreign investors, all investors, because any investor, anybody that has invested money in this country that is having a problem can bring his problem to me, and I go out of my way, my ministry goes out of its way to try to find solutions to these problems. So we do meet up regularly. For instance, we have various forums that we also used to meet. We hold we have the Economic Development Forum with the UK. We meet twice a year. I meet quarterly with the European Union groups. We meet regularly with the American companies. So we have all these various meetings. We meet with the ambassadors. We meet with the companies themselves. The companies have formed themselves into groups. So we meet with them. They bring out their problems. They say, oh, we have problems with central bank. We talk to the central bank and try to resolve these problems. We have problems with customs. We talk to customs to resolve these problems. We have problems with the ports. We facilitate meetings, with all these groups so that there's a whole of government approach to the problems that are brought to our attention.
Right. It's right, to appreciate the fact that, you hold regular meetings, with ambassadors of different countries. We also need to understand that these embassies have attaches, even communication attaches, media attaches, and what have you. And they also carry out their own investigation. All right. You'll be surprised to know that even in visa processing procedure, you discover that an embassy official can even go to your hinterland, to find out whether you're really from that particular part of the country. So it goes beyond having these meetings, because from what Femi told us with regards to the meeting of the Netherlands Queen with the president, where she was complaining about the hinterland, because if you're going to engage in agriculture, you have to get to the hinterland. That is where you have the land to really carry out any agricultural activity. Now, let me return to Mahmoud Ahmadu. In this connection, I hope you're hearing us. In this connection, what have you been doing with respect to telling the Nigeria's own narrative to the Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce. Because I want to believe, quite frankly, that when it comes to those that have the financial muscle to invest in Nigeria, it is the Arabians. And you rightly said it, that they had a seat on a huge sum of money. To what extent have you been able to convince some of these, wealthy Arabians, to really come into Nigeria and invest, especially in agriculture?
Thank you again. You see, like I said earlier, I will still take it again. And going back to what the Honorable Minister just said, in regard to the question that he was asked, he has really, really supported us here with every information that is being needed in trying to market Nigeria out here. But to cap it all, our president has made it so amazing. With that, I think we have just a little bit to push, and then you will start seeing a lot of investors coming into the country. All information that is needed about investing into Nigeria has been provided to us, like the Honorable Minister said. We've been talking, they have been guiding us in how we need to deal with all those kind of things. And I can say it is really a very good thing. And at the end of the day, the marketing has been done by our president coming here to unveil this thing, has concluded everything. I said it earlier, the fear has gotten out of everybody. All we are waiting for now is to just have some few more, as we already planned, still with the minister, along with the Honorable Minister there with you, and as well as some of the sector ministries. We are going to have more of investment forums before the end of the Expo 2020 in March. And we're going to line up those and select those investors that we want, then we will now start engaging with them. So in marketing in Nigeria and trying to get investors, I will assure you that has been, as far as I'm concerned, is done. All we are waiting for is to start seeing them keen in signing, and then there we go.
I was just wondering, Mr. Amadu, what are the cardinal areas of interest you have isolated from the Arabian potential investors in Nigeria?
Okay, we have a lot of investors that are interested in the power. A lot of investors are interested in agriculture, water resources, technology. Those areas, as I'm talking to you, we may possibly decide to, I shouldn't forget oil and gas anyway. Oil and gas is one of the major things that everybody wants to come into Nigeria to do. Those areas, as I'm talking to you today, we have a ton of investors lined up. I think we may start, the ministers have to start selecting who they wanted.
Okay, well, when you say selecting who they want, of course there will be objective and to some extent subjective criteria for tapping an investor. An investor saying, all right, I'm confident enough to put my money in your economy. I just want, Femi, let's tap also from your journalistic experience. I mean, you've had the privilege of being with the president on some of these trips. When you are with him at either the fora or at the expos, what are your personal takeaways in terms of not just the optics, but in terms of what is possible for us as a country to draw from, to tap into, to leverage on?
Thank you. As the Honorable Minister said, apart from Mr. President speaking at the general meeting, he then holds private bilateral meetings. In Dubai, I know that about 4 different groups came, bioenergy, health, and in different areas of interest. So you find out that when Mr. President meets with these people, he's able to talk to them directly on their areas of interest and what is possible in Nigeria. And One thing he has said a number of times is the bureaucrats that are there, he tells them to ensure that they follow up on those meetings. So those are some of the advantages that come to our country from those engagements. Directive to the bureaucrats to ensure that they follow up on the meetings and the agreements reached at that meeting. I've found him recalling there was a group that he met in one country, and it was about a year or two, and then when they met again, he then was asking what has been done from the last meeting, from the bureaucrats that were there. So those are some of the things that come directly to Nigeria from those meetings.
No, I must, my question, thanks for your response, but my question is just to say, looking at the ambience, I mean, the expo, the forum, I mean, the basic example to give would be, look, is it possible for us to adapt the Dubai or the UAE talisman in turning around things in our country?
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot that goes with that. For instance, we had the opportunity of seeing how Dubai was 50 years ago. Dubai turned, I think the UAE now, not just Dubai, turned 50 years on December 2nd, which was the day we arrived there. And you could situate the current condition compared to how the place was 50 years ago. But it was not the work of one man. It was not just the president. It was not just the prime minister or the crown prince. It was a collective. You found a country that was willing to change and move forward. And that is what we need to imbibe as Nigerians. You find that government after government, when some forces pull in this direction in Nigeria, some other forces are pulling back. And until we get to the realization that we have to go in the same direction for the sake of our country, it's going to be difficult to arrive at where UAE arrived in 50 years.
Why I laugh is that when you step into Dubai, it's as if you are in a new world, entirely a new world. And like you said, it takes a political will and the determination of a people to go into that direction. Honorable Minister, Nigeria, even before the present administration, has been attending such investment fora. Even I recall that even this administration, if I'm right, was at Silicon Valley and what have you. And they're looking around Nigeria. Would you say that it's worthwhile that the country should continue to spend resources attending fora across the globe, on an annual basis? Because I know that in the first quarter or second quarter of next year, we're still going to attend one or two fora, with respect to marketing the country. Is it worthwhile? If you look around this country, has it ever been fruitful? All the events, all the fora the nation has been attending, even before this administration, are we really making a headway? From what Femi has said in terms of what exists in Dubai, it does appear that we need to do a rethink, in terms of development strategy, whichever party in power.
Well, thank you. Well, you say, is it worthwhile attending these forums? I believe it is. But like Mr. Adesina has pointed out, the question that arises is there the follow-up? With this administration, you can see that there is a follow-up because we are beginning to reap the benefits of attendance at these forums, right? For instance, I have attended various forums, and I know the results that have come out of those, from attendance at those things. For instance, we're talking about Dubai 2020 now, right? It's an expo, right? And I try to explain to people, because many people get the concept wrong. They think it's like a trade fair. It's not a trade fair. What it is that it's a forum that gives you an opportunity to relate to other countries of the world, right? We have a pavilion in the expo city. 190 countries have pavilions there. So there's a lot of interaction. There's a lot of going around. Our ambassador is the Commissioner General. My Director of Trade is the Deputy Commissioner General of our own pavilion, right? So part of their job is to go to the different pavilions, relate to the different people there. People come to our pavilions. They ask questions because all the information about Nigeria is in our pavilion. right? They will ask questions, they will show areas of interest, and then the people there will now link them to people in Nigeria. And part of what the Expo gives you the opportunity to do is that, like the chairman of the NAGCC was just saying, is that every month, because the Expo is for 6 months, it started in October, it will end of March, right? Every month there are activities going on. The investment forum that they anchored on the 4th of December was one of the activities that was lined up. There have been different activities that have been organized, and there are more that will be organized. Different things. When the ruler of Dubai was hosted by Mr. President in the Nigerian pavilion, and we were taking him around, he asked a question. He said, where is this we hear about Nigerian movies? So we said, don't worry, we'll take you to the sector where we have Nigerian movies. So by the time we got there, we showed him what about our movie industry in Nigeria. We said, look, this is, for now, it's a 500 billion naira industry in Nigeria. It's an area where people can come and invest, and he showed interest. You know, so these are the kind of things that these things bring. But the question is, you said previous administrations have been doing this. The question you should ask the previous administration, did they do the follow-up? We are doing the follow-up because we are, and we're beginning to see the benefits that are coming out of it. We went to IATF in Durban, like you rightly pointed out. We had about 100 Nigerian MSMEs participating. That was the trade fair, right? So they went there with Nigerian goods, package and everything. You should see the quality of packaging that Nigerian MSMEs have now. The number of orders that came up at that trade fair was very, very impressive because people were ordering Nigerian goods, even beans, black-eyed beans that we have in Nigeria. Because of the packaging, the way it was packaged and everything, people were getting orders. You know, so hibiscus, sesame seeds, cowpea, all these things that we have. Because what we're saying to our MSMEs now is that do not export raw material. Let us process, let us add value, so that way we can get employment for our youth who are unemployed. By adding value, we're creating jobs. So, and then you are getting more for your goods than you would get if you just export the raw material. Now, rather than just export cocoa beans, we have people who are actually manufacturing chocolate in Nigeria. You know, so there's a lot of that kind of thing going on. And when you attend these fairs, when you attend these expos, it gives you an opportunity to market to the world. It's an opportunity. Dubai, yes, in 50 years, they have become what they have become. But it's a work of marketing and branding. Their hosting of this expo is part of their marketing of their country. Because now they have 190 countries in their country. So it gives them an opportunity to market their country the more. It gives them the opportunity to show the tourism potentials of their country. It gives them an opportunity to show the culture of their country. And that is what we are doing. That is what we have done by participating in this expo. We have shown the culture of our people. On Nigerian Day, we had the Nigerian Cultural Troupe performing. Oh, it was very well received. Everybody was excited. Before the president arrived on the Nigerian National Day, we had Tenny the entertainer. She had a show. Come and see loads of people from different countries dancing to Nigerian Afrobeat music, and you know it was very, very impressive. You know, so yeah, and after that, the number of in the pavilion we have there, I think to date we have received no less than 300,000 people who have visited our pavilion to ask questions about Nigeria. We have headsets there, where you put the headset on, it shows you all the different tourism potentials of Nigeria, the different tourist areas. You know, so the whole idea is we're selling Nigeria, we're marketing Nigeria. We want, you see, the way to attract investment is people will come. When they come and they look and see, they'll say, yes, there is an opportunity here.
You know, Honorable Minister, thanks. I mean, you've raised the issue of follow-ups, and I think that this is one concern that analysts have always had, that it's not just sufficient to have these international engagements outside of our shores. When there's no follow-up, then matters are left there. But a critical aspect of this would also be to ask, it is often said that, look, when we see all around us challenges, these are otherwise investment opportunities. And so the question would be, are we now on the verge of seeing big ticket investments in oil and gas? And the easiest will be, we don't need the deep offshore investment. We need downstream, petroleum refining. Everybody's talking about Dangote. If we have many more Dangote refineries, it would solve a great deal of our forex challenges that we're having. We talk about infrastructure. The federal government is setting up Infraco. It's also talking about tax credit. But we know that our roads could be a lot better. Federal highways could be a lot better. We could have many more rail connections around the country. We talk about healthcare. Our healthcare system remains fragile to a considerable extent. So these big ticket deals, are we on the verge of getting them, or are there still concerns? And what are the reassurances to potential investors?
Well, I can tell you that we are on the verge of getting them. And why do I say this with confidence? Because I was present at bilateral meetings that Mr. President held. Right? We held a meeting with a health group from the UAE who are interested in coming to invest in Nigeria, right? And not only invest in Nigeria, they're interested in setting up a manufacturing facility for COVID vaccines. That talk is on. I was directed to the Minister of Health. I've been asked to direct Mr. President has asked me to inform the Minister of Health that I should connect the Minister of Health with them so that they can start to make progress on that score. Okay. Today, coincidentally, when I leave here, we will be going to Abuja here, where the Afro-Exim Bank, Mr. President is coming to do the turning of to the flag of a multi-million-dollar private hospital that is being constructed by Afro-Exim Bank here in Nigeria. You know, so these are all fallout of going out there to attract investment. Recently, I was in Ghana for a meeting on the African Continental Free Trade Area. The same Afro-Exim Bank came to have a talk with us, and they have committed $1 billion for the auto industry in Africa. And we are, right now, they've approved the funding for, we're in the process of putting together our own new automotive policy, which is being funded by Afro-Exim Bank. So we already have a foot in the door, so that will give us an opportunity to be able to tap into that pool of money as well. So there's a lot that is going on that at the end of the day, when all these things come to fruition, would leapfrog Nigeria into the position that it should be in.
All right, thank you. Let's return to Mahmoud Ahmadu. In fact, it is still in line with the question Kingsley put to the Honourable Minister. This concerns the issue of getting the big-time investors into the country. Are we having a headway, considering the meetings you've had with the Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce, those whom you said are sitting on big money? Are we hoping to have any form of a big-time investment, especially in very critical areas such as health, agriculture, power, and water resources? Are you having any form of positive reaction to those who may wish to invest in all these sectors?
Yeah, thank you again. When you say positive, I will have just answer you over positive. The marketing has been done, and there is a full support from the government. Like I told you earlier in my first answer, I told you, we are also here in terms of follow-up. Yeah, that is going back to the question you asked the Honorable Minister, that the follow-up issues may turn up to be like an issue, but I don't think so, because here in the Gulf, the chamber have created a kind of a platform whereby we make sure we follow up to every single investor that has shown interest to be in Nigeria. And not even following up with them, like I said, since the departure of the Mr. President back to Nigeria, we've received a lot of investors that are interested coming into Nigeria. And I'm 100% sure all we needed to do is a little bit tweak to it, and then we'll start seeing them coming in there.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Kieran.
We need to get some explanations with respect to the little we say we need to do to attract them. It is not enough to show interest. Are there areas of concern, of their concern, with respect to the possibility of their moving in? What I mean here is that if there are actions needed to be taken by government to make it easy for them to key in, are there such issues? Are you experiencing a situation where if you follow up at a point, it gets stalled and nobody, from that angle moves any further? Is there anything we need to do as a nation or government needs to do or some clearance to make to enable them now say, okay, we've shown interest, this is the time for us to move into Nigeria?
Okay, you see, based on what you just said now, this is what the chamber is even putting up together, because some of them come up with a lot of kind of questions and trying to get a kind of a comfort that will bring them into the country. We started packaging some kind of a request from them. We told them, yes, we are ready. Come up with all the requests that you have. We're going to forward it to the government through the Honorable Minister's office there. From there, it will take it further, whereby we can see if they can get that kind of a comfort. For example, the people that wanted to, we had a meeting with some few of them alongside with the Nigerian ambassador here, with the Honorable Minister of Power. They are willing to come in, to come and invest in the renewable energy. That is the new form of power. But all they were asking is, they were like asking what kind of a support is the country going to give them. When we asked, some of them were asking if the government will look into considering some kind of reduction in custom duty, some tax, we'll have to just sort some kind of a thing. So we are getting all those things as a request from them. And we in the chamber here, we're going to forward that to the government through the minister. And then thereby we'll see how it will get in, how we'll be able to solve this thing.
All right. Thank you very much, Mahmoud Ahmadu. Well, I would have also asked you this. You've spoken to it after Kieran reprompted the question. That namely, you say that there is a ton of cash amongst international investors, and they are looking for outlets. But we also know, as the saying goes, that money is a coward. So it looks for a safe place. What is it you are hearing from potential investors that we need to do to make ourselves attractive, more attractive to them?
Okay, you see, what we need to do is just simple. And like I said earlier, the president has already done that. He has given them the assurance of all the concerns they have. And all we need to do is let's say dispute resolution, and possibly trying to see, well, you see, when we talk about, in a nutshell, I can say stability of a legal environment, dispute resolution, all those kind of things. Once if that is being put together, they would make all of them attractive into our own environment. And like I said, the president has already assured them all this. All that we need to do is to make sure that we go through the normal channel so that we can get those things resolved for them, whereby they can now come in and start investing.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Mahmoud Amadou, for your response. I'm sure that there will be the opportunity of further interrogating some of these aspects. I want to come back to the Honourable Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment. That's MITI for short. Honourable Minister, give us a sense of what we are seeing in terms of this marketing outreach by the President, Cabinet members and some state governors. Incidentally, you were governor of Ekiti State, and the federal government says, look, it does things on behalf of everybody. But this investors' interest, is it to be in relationship with the federal government or to be in relationship with subnational entities? Because some persons would argue that there are tons of opportunities in the subnational environment.
Yes, thank you very much. You see, when we market as a government, we market on behalf of the whole country. And we take into consideration also the state governments. Because at the end of the day, for instance, if somebody is going to invest in agriculture, it's land. So the state governments must be involved. All the federal government is doing in a situation like this is being a facilitator. Okay? What we have done, especially on this Dubai Expo, with regards to the investment forum that was just held, we signed a memorandum of understanding with the NAGCC, the Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce, and for them to work with the NIPC, the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission, right, to put together that investment forum, so that whenever, during that forum, anybody that showed interest and showed that made expressions of interest, the officials of the Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission were on hand to be able to answer questions that were raised and answer whatever inquiries that were brought up. We had some state governors there so that they would realize that in everything we're doing, the state governors were being carried along. I know for a fact because I was sitting next to the governor of Zamfara, and he had a presentation on his state. You know, the gold and everything that is on in Zamfara, obviously with a view to letting investors know that, look, let us do it in a proper manner. Let us, mine the gold in a proper manner. Let us put up a refinery for the refining the gold before we export, so that all this illegal export of gold from Zamfara to Dubai will stop. You Dubai people come and invest in it, and you get it in a legal manner and at the proper price. So those are the kind of things that we do. Like I said, the federal government markets on behalf of the state governments. In our pavilion at the expo, we have a big screen, right, with a map of Nigeria on it. You put your hand on any state you want there. It will show you all the minerals, all the investment potentials of that state. In fact, when we took Mr. President around, I pressed Katsina State. Katsina State came on the screen. All the investment potentials of Katsina came on the screen, right? The sectoral advantages of Katsina came on the screen. And one thing that we're doing in my ministry, I've set up a body. They are looking into what we can use to attract investors, right? For instance, you have pioneer status. But we're saying in some areas of pioneer status, many of the things are no longer pioneer. However, we believe that, like other African countries, so that we can be key into the competitive advantages that we have, right? We have to give some form of incentives to people who want to invest in Nigeria. So we're looking at the whole country. There are some areas that are hard areas. For instance, if anybody wants to invest in Bordeaux today, you'd think that the person is mad because of the security problems there. However, there may be some minerals in Borno State that are of attractiveness to some investors. So we are saying, we're trying to put together a package to say that if you are investing in certain areas, the incentives that you will get here will be more than the incentives that you will get if you are investing in Lagos. Yeah. We're putting that together as well. So there's a lot that we're doing to attract these investments with a view to seeing to it that we get as much as possible so that, because the key thing, and Mr. President harps on it all the time, unemployment of the youth. Unemployment of the youth. So we're trying to, and we believe that with manufacturing, we can assist with youth employment. Manufacturing, agriculture, those are areas that will assist with the unemployment problem. So we are doing a lot in that regard.
All right, gentlemen, so we're going to take a short break now. After that, I would like you also to speak on other areas concerning the subnationals in terms of governors who may not be elected under the same platform of the ruling party, who may have their own development goals and programs. Some of them even travel abroad to make their own, to establish their own development strategies with foreign partners and what have you. We shall begin to perhaps find out the nexus between what federal government is doing and what they're doing. All right, now let's take a short break. We'll be back very shortly. Well, we thank you for staying with us on Good Morning Nigeria. Before we went on break, the Honorable Minister spoke on, carrying the state governments along when the federal government is out there marketing Nigeria. And I raised one point which has to do with the fact that some governors, because they are chief executives of the state, may not buy into what federal government is doing. We'd like the Honorable Minister to elaborate more on this. So the question is, what is the nexus between the development strategy of state governors and what the federal government is doing with respect to marketing Nigeria abroad?
You have to remember that the state governors belong to the National Economic Council, which is chaired by His Excellency the Vice President. They meet every month with a view to harmonizing economic policies of the subnationals with the national economy. So that is the forum at which various issues arise. And where my ministry is concerned, whenever issues arise that concern my ministry, we are invited to come to make presentations at the National Economic Council so that the state governments will be aware of what the federal government is doing with a view to them keying into such policies. For instance, in January, I've been invited to make a presentation to the National Economic Council on government's policy with regards to purchase of locally assembled motor vehicles. We want the state governments to key into making their purchases from local manufacturers of these vehicles so that we continue to encourage them to increase their investment in the manufacturing of motor vehicles. And that also happens in other areas, in other sectors of government, in the agricultural sector, in the transportation sector, whenever issues arise with regards to federal government policy of those sectors. Those issues are brought to the National Economic Council so that the subnationals, the state governments, are carried along with regards to government policy.
So I know that this is not, Nigeria is not, we're not being governed by a military fiat, or an autocratic arrangement. But I want to reason along this line. Some nations like China, India, before they got to where they are today, there was this kind of national policy that you will not import any vehicle into our country that is either assembled or manufactured in the country. Is there a possibility of having such policy in a democratic setting to say, look, instead of just encouraging, the state governments to buy Nigeria, made in Nigerian vehicles, or the National Assembly members wanting to, have all the SUVs from Japan and what have you. So look, this is our country. nobody should import these vehicles. Let's make it in Nigeria. Is there a possibility, or is it because are we so different from other countries who may sit up and say, look, this is what we want, like Dubai, what we're talking about. Say that they're 50 years. Today, if you go to Dubai, it's like they've lived for 100 years, based on development we find in that country.
Now, you have to remember that Nigeria belongs to various international organizations. We have signed onto various treaties. We're members of the World Trade Organization. So there are certain things. You cannot just wake up and say, we are banning this. No, it's not possible. But what you try to do, you try to create an avenue for your local manufacturers to have an advantage over the imported goods. And that is basically what we're doing. We sit down with the Ministry of Finance and the Customs so that we look at the tariffs and the cost of manufacturing vis-a-vis the cost of importation. Like I said earlier in this program, we are in the process of putting together, of updating the automotive policy of the government with a view to looking at what more can be done. I've been attending various meetings. I've attended meetings of the AAAM, which is the Automotive Association, World Automotive Association, which has membership of the various original equipment manufacturers of motor vehicles. We are looking at how they can come and invest in CKD manufacturing in Nigeria. In Dubai, that I've just come from, I held meetings with a couple of companies who are interested in coming to set up. One wants to do batteries, wants to manufacture batteries in Nigeria. Another one wants to manufacture, I think, plastic components for motor vehicles. So there's a lot of interest in this direction, and that is why we're working very, very fast and very, very hard to put this auto policy in place, because it's that auto policy that will give the direction. Before anybody invests in a country, they want to be sure that their investment is safe. They want to know that there is a government policy that will protect their investment. They don't want to bring money, start something, and then next year the government changes, and then they change the law, and then their investment is gone. So we need to have in place all these proper policies. Once that policy is approved, we take it to the Federal Executive Council for approval. Then we send it to the National Assembly. It becomes a law. Once it becomes a law, it gives confidence to the original equipment manufacturers. And we are in discussions with them. They are working with us in putting the policy together so that not only will it be a policy for a country, it will also be a policy that will be attractive to the investors as well.
I'm quite pleased to hear that at least there's been some talk with investors who are interested in setting up for the manufacture of batteries. Yeah. It's a point that I've raised on Good Morning Nigeria. We have over 10 million vehicles on Nigerian roads, and I asked the question, how many of those batteries being used by these vehicles are manufactured in Nigeria? We used to have Berek in Kaduna and in Lagos, that's at Isolo there. But the other leg of it will also be tires. Are we having manufacturers who are interested in coming back to Nigeria? Some of the best rubber you can get in the world, you find them here in Nigeria. And we used to have Ribue tires in Benin, Odutola tires, Michelin, and Dunlop before they all left. So if you look at all the wheels that we all use, or what Nigeria is formerly referred to as tires, where are the tires manufactured? Throughout the civil war of Liberia, Firestone or Britain, I'm not sure which of them, they didn't depart from that country. So are we getting investors to those disaggregated areas? The same thing you can also ask about the power sector. Is it power? Are they coming as Gencos or as Discos? We know that one of the major challenges that we have in our power value chain today is with the Discos. The Discos are not showing enough capacity to perform the functions that they have under the law. So are we getting investors who are saying, look, okay, we want to break in, have a break in there by way of equity investment and the technical expertise? We also have a major issue with our refinery. That's the downstream sector. I mean, a lot of meal is being made about Dangote. I do hope that things will work out, but everybody can see that if we had many more refineries, it will work out. It's not as if existing refineries are being closed down elsewhere in the world on account of climate change. So are we thinking about getting those investors for that area? Cotton, textile, and the garment industry are also in search of investors. So, Honorable Minister, these are some of the areas where employment can easily be generated. are we getting potential investors attracted to these other subsectors that may not be as popular?
All these areas are areas that are at the top of our priority list in our ministry. It's all to do with backward integration, and that is the top priority of our ministry. Cotton to textile, we are working assiduously on that. We are doing a lot in terms of the cotton belt of Nigeria is that Katsina area. It's an area that we are showing a lot of interest in. We are in discussions with the African Development Bank to set up special agro-processing zones all over the country, right? We're waiting. I think the proposal is going to their board at the next board meeting. We are hopeful that the board of the bank will approve it. Once it is approved, we will start to make progress. So these are areas where we are not sleeping. I don't want Nigerians.
Otherwise, you won't be here with us this month.
I want Nigerians to have that confidence that we are working, and we are going to make sure that by the time this administration is handing over, it will hand over with something substantial to show Nigerians. We are working in that direction. You talk about battery manufacturing. I was at I think it was the Lagos International Trade Fair last month, November. And there's a local manufacturer of batteries already producing here.
Where's that place? I don't know.
No, I was introduced to them at the trade fair. And I actually gave them my card, and they're going to come and see. They're going to come and see me for us to discuss how we can assist them to improve and increase their production. So these are, we're looking at.
But we need many more of such manufacturing firms, I believe. Yeah.
My visit to the IATF in Durban, the trade fair in Durban, that was financed by Afro-Exim Bank, we met with component manufacturers there who are also looking forward to coming to manufacture in Nigeria. We're in talks with Dunlop. We're in talks with Michelin. We are trying to get all these people to come back, and they are beginning to show that interest. They're beginning to show
some of the
interest
big names that we have in the tire industry, Pirelli, those Bridgestone, Firestone. Let them come, and then they will get it. Honorable Minister, I mean, you see, Kira, because this is also interesting. Anybody who knows the value chain of rubber, for instance, I mean, rubber trees are grown in the rainforest bed, and the number of hands that you can employ to tap the rubber, and then the latex that you get from it, the lob, as it is normally called, or the lumps, and then
you pointed out earlier that I was a state governor, right? My state, in conjunction with Ondo State, owned rubber plantations in the old Ondo State. So I am aware of all these things. So we are doing everything possible. We're encouraging the state governments to look in that direction. The rubber that we're producing is beginning to increase again.
Okay.
So there's a lot that is going on. It may be, it's what I akin to a silent revolution. It is a lot is going on. By the time we come out with these things, Nigerians will be amazed at the progress that we have made.
Yes, we just want to believe that the submissions of the Honorable Minister will begin to impact on Nigerians in no distant time, because the picture you're painting, the scenario, is very interesting.
It has already started to impact, because the results that are coming out from Nigerian Bureau of Statistics shows that there's an improvement in the economy from last year.
All right, gentlemen, let me just pose this not necessarily a question, but an ideology, so to speak. We are not talking about Dubai Business Forum that we just attended.
Expo.
Is it the Expo, rather? Is it possible for Nigeria as a nation to organize such a global event, to bring in 190 countries into Nigeria for this kind of event, for them to even see by themselves, for them to appreciate us much, much better than just marketing ourselves abroad with some pictorials and some information and what have you? Is it possible to do that before the expiration of this administration, for us to attract the world to Nigeria? Can it work out, Honorable Minister?
They say a journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. I believe that before the end of this administration, it will be almost impossible to hold an expo of that scale because of the lack of infrastructural facilities. This administration, when it came in, met a major deficit of infrastructural facilities. And a lot has been going on to improve the infrastructure of this country. And it is as a result of that improvement in the infrastructure of this country that, for instance, next year we will be able to hold the UN World Tourism Organizational Regional Conference in Nigeria. Nigeria has been approved for that conference. I mean, 2-3 years ago, there's no way Nigeria would have been approved for such a conference. So we are beginning to look at these things. We were in Durban, like we said. We had a discussion with Mr. President, and you know, a few of the ministers and the officials that were there with Mr. President, we discussed it, that it would be good for Nigeria also to be able to host such a program. And Mr. President says, go and look at it and see what needs to be done for us to be able to host such a thing. So we are thinking of these things as well. You know, sometimes when people talk, it's as if those of us who work for government are not Nigerians as well. We are all Nigerians. We all have the love of our country. We all want our country to progress. We all want our country to be #1 in the world. And those of us who have the opportunity to work towards this will continue to work towards this to try to see to it that we attain this. We are lucky we have a president who believes a lot in this country, and he's working hard, and he gives that leadership to those of us who work with him to see to it that we do our best to make sure that we make Nigeria the best it can be.
All right, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. Back to Mr. Femi Adesina. We're talking about follow-ups. I'm just trying to recall, because I think we had a conversation around that a couple of years ago on this program. I don't know if you were with the president at Sochi in Russia, or what?
Garba was there.
Oh, Garba was there. Okay, one of the outcomes of the president's attendance at that Sochi forum, Russia and Africa, of which Nigeria was prominent, was that, look, the Russians were going to assist in helping for the completion of Ajaokuta, which is the backbone of any industrialization effort. As we speak, I don't know how much progress has been made or whether we can ultimately get Ajaokuta up and running.
Yes, I know that the Minister of Mines and Steel Development has been working on that and has spoken on it a couple of times. I know that there are efforts in that direction, but the minister will be in a better position to tell us what exactly is happening.
To address that.
Yes. But let me refer to one thing I have got from you this morning, which I'm holding in my left palm.
Namely?
Money is a coward. It looks for a safe place.
Oh, sure. You should hold it both in your left and the right.
The question is really apt, even when perhaps you're not in a position to answer the question. You know, but this is where we're talking about the impact of some of these, fora that the government attends, from time to time. That Sochi meeting was very apt to respect to Ajaokuta State Complex. And Ajaokuta, when you mention Ajaokuta, people like me will feel, I feel so bad, because as Kingsley said, it's the backbone of our industrialization, based on the fact that it's dealing with steel, and steel of all forms that could be used in many aspects of manufacturing. All right. Okay, let's return to Dubai for what should be your closing thoughts. I'm sure you're still in Dubai, and the program is still on, and you're still meeting with potential investors in Nigeria. What should we be expecting at the end of this expo? What are we expecting? What are the positives? Just in a few seconds.
We here at Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce, we are created kind of a platform whereby all those investments that we have, as I said earlier, in terms of them trying to come into Nigeria, don't forget, despite the development that we are talking about here, still Nigeria is the bride of the world. Everybody wants to get there. Everybody wants to touch it. The whole idea of marketing Nigeria in Expo 2020, as I said, President has already done that. As I'm talking to you now, I have another meeting in the next 10 minutes with some serious investors that want to come to Nigeria. Maybe next time, by the time we will have this call, we will be in this call with you. We will assure you that some of the investors are in Nigeria.
Mahmoud Ahmadu, we're beginning to have issues with the audio line there, but we've had you. We'd like to thank you for being part of the program this morning. Thank you indeed, Kingsley.
Yeah, well, thanks. Just to get the thoughts of the Honorable Minister on this, managing the political economy of the country. Earlier, Femi Additional spoke about some tendencies that we have, sometimes pulling in different directions. Because we asked the question whether we can borrow from the Dubai or UAE talisman. You're a politician, very quiet but effective politician. You've been a governor, you've been vice chairman of your party, national vice chairman of your party, and now a minister of the Federal Republic. Is it possible for the political class and key political actors to agree on a national agenda and they say, regardless, we can have our differences, play our politics, but Nigeria first?
I believe that would be the best thing for the country, to be honest. I believe Mr. President has made such attempts in the past to put this kind of thing together. However, once we're going towards election time, it's difficult for politicians to see things in one way because everybody wants to take advantage so that they have the opportunity of being in the saddle after the elections. However, I believe that there is that possibility. I think it is something we should continue to try to aim towards. Maybe in the future, it's possible that we can achieve that. But for now, I think it will be difficult. I mean, we're in 2020, at this end of 2021, we're about to get 2022. As you can see, politics has started heating up. Everybody started jockeying for 2023. So I don't think most politicians would look in that direction. But for those of us who happen to be saddled with the responsibility of trying to make progress for the country, we, at least in my particular case, as much as I'm a politician, like you rightly pointed out, I have a responsibility now. So I have taken a back seat from politics for now to be able to function fully in the responsibility that I've been given, which is to attract as much investment into the country, to be able to assist the desire of Mr. President to get as many youth as possible into employment.
All right, thank you, Honourable Minister. In fact, you've just made the right comments that it's going to be very difficult for us to have such a national agenda, as Kingsley said. It's also what is called the Nigerian Factor. All right, at this point, we'd like to thank you, Honourable Minister, for sharing your time and your thoughts with us this morning on Good Morning Nigeria. Honourable Adeni Adebayo, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina. We're so glad you're here this morning. Thank you indeed. And not forgetting Mahmoud Ahmadu, Chairman of Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for joining us all the way from Dubai this morning. Thank you indeed.
Thank you.
All right, so that's it for us on Good Morning Nigeria today. Deep thanks for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the program. Tomorrow is another day. Join us same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. Until then, look after yourselves. I'm Kingsley Osadalo.
And I am Kirian Umayo. Do have a great day.